And he can't get out.
Check? You think you check the check? You working every day, check the check? We check the check. If we buying $300,000 watches, homes, and everywhere, we check the check.
That's why you got to keep working.
That's why you got to keep working.
Everybody is so rich. Then why they fucking still working? You gotta fucking work. Yeah,
you got kids in college. You got all type of
shit going on. Yeah,
mortgages. You got car notes. You got shit like
they don't stop. The bills don't stop.
The bills keep coming. I don't care.
The bills is coming now.
The bills is coming now. The train is coming. And so what happens is, I don't care how much money we make. It's almost like shampoo. The shit just slipped through your fingers. I'm not safe. No, I'm keeping it real with you. I am not safe with no amount of money. You don't know how many times I made $1 million and that shit was gone in like a month or two. And it's just regular shit. Yo, pay the lawyer, pay your insurance, pay this.
Repeat process.
Just this, that. And then you turn around and it's like, yo, where's the bread? Yo, bro. You know, Louis Vuitton ain't cheap, bro. All that shit you doing out here looking cute, it ain't cheap. And so there's always a check to check. I don't care how much money you make.
Bro, why just be like, damn, what if I love you so much to the point where it's like, I don't know how to take the betrayal and I kill myself? Like, that's how I be feeling, bro. I be feeling like buying a rope. Nah, bro. I be feeling like buying a rope, bro. I be feeling like buying a rope, fam. I be feeling like buying a rope, bro. I buy a rope, bro. I wanna buy a rope, fam. I'm finna buy a rope, bro. I'm gonna buy a rope. I'm gonna buy a rope, fam. And then I'm gonna tie myself to the rope, bro. I'm gonna tie myself to the rope, bro.
This is Mark chapter 8 and verse 36. And it reads, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for a soul?" I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yashar Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Aquas, who are believing this word, and all truth and sincerity. All right, I want to go into a lesson based on the two clips that you just saw. One of Fat Joe and Jadakiss, all right, and the other of Kodak Black. All of these are so-called hip-hop artists, rap artists, all right, and it highlights a very important point in the spirit, all right, and ultimately what we know is that this is not our rest. And see, the curses follow us no matter what tax bracket you exist in. You know, our people have this notion, this idea that, you know, the riches and the fame will somehow make the curses go away. All right. And that's just not the truth. That's just not the reality of the matter. All right. The ultimate rest and riches is the kingdom of heaven. All right. As a matter of fact, let's go here. This is Proverbs chapter 10 and verse 20. And it reads 22, Salakia, Proverbs 10 and 22. "The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it." Now, a lot of our people, you know, the young Jakes especially, aspire to be at the level of success that a guy like Kodak Black is at. You know, well-known, you know, rich compared to the average Negro, Latino, or Native American. And he's basically saying that he's having suicidal thoughts. Because what happens is these curses that are on us as a nation of people, for a sign and for a wonder, it follows us no matter what tax bracket, no matter what country you reside in. These curses follow you. All right. And this is why our issue as a nation of people is not monetary. If it was, then these Jakes would be the happiest people alive amongst our people. But they end up being a lot of times more stressed out than the average Israelite, because they now have to take on the burden of being a rich Israelite compared to the rest of us. All right. And having everybody depend on you. And really what our issue is, our rest is in Yahweh Shema Shai. And our people are running to the money. You know, they're running to Islam. They're running to the conscious community. You know, the men of our nation are running to, you know, land with a bunch of women or drugs to find rest. And ultimately, none of those things will give you rest. You know, we grew up in this society where Esau, the so-called white man, taught us that Money will fix all our issues. This is why Jake used to, when they was in high school, go to practice, football practice, they taking it dead serious because they trying to get a scholarship and get out the hood and save the family from the, by going pro. Or Jake is trying to be a rap artist, because we grew up with this idea that money was the problem. And while it is one of the problems, it's a symptom to a disease. And our disease as a nation of people is the disobedience to Yahweh Shema Shai. And the only thing that can cure that restlessness our people feel is returning to the Lord. And we know 2/3 won't do that. This is Luke chapter 12 and verse 15. And it reads, "And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth." And we were taught that. We were taught that our status, who we are, especially the men, all right, Negro, Latino, and Native American men, we were taught that our identity is tied to our job, how much money we got, how many women we got. That's how we measured value amongst each other when we were in the world. Well, the Lord is saying beware of that, because that creates a culture of covetousness. This is why these rappers, when they get these big checks, where do they go? They go to the hood. They take a $200,000, $300,000 car and park it in the middle of a project housing. People rent is $14 and you pulling up in a $300,000 car just to basically mock them in so many words. And Jacob say that it's motivation purposes. No, it's you reigning as kings without your people. But even that comes with its own trials and tribulations. And you see it. Both of those clips are examples. Jadakiss brought up a beautiful point. If they were hella rich like they put on, then why the fuck are they still working? What's the point of making another album if you set for life? See, their checks are just bigger than Jake's. They're still under the curses. It's just their check is bigger than the average Jake's check. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 6. And it reads, "My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place." And a lot of our people, they think that it's going to give them rest. And then they get there and it really has more problems than if they were just without it. And that's the issue that a lot of our people are going through right now, is that they exist in a society that's not built for them. You weren't made to work endless hours for the so-called white man. That's not what you were created for. But our people have forgotten their resting place, because our resting place is with Yahweh Shema Shai. All right, it's not chasing the bag. Really, all chasing the bag does is create more problems for the average, the Jake that gets there. If you listen to a guy like Rod Wave, a lot of his conversation is all depression. And why is that? Because he's dealing with the fact of being rich amongst a lot of our people who are poor and destitute. All right. And this is the situation. And now ultimately, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, that's why the Lord said this is not our rest. Now, I want to go here real quick. This is 1 Timothy chapter 6 in the GNT. All right. And I'm going to read verse 6. I'm going to start at verse 6. All right. Wisdom of Solomon's the first Salakia, 1 Timothy, the 6th chapter and the 6th verse in the GNT reads, "Well, religion does make us very rich if we are satisfied with what we have. What did we bring into the world? Nothing. What can we take out of the world? Nothing. So then, if we have food and clothes, that should be enough for us. But those who want to get rich fall into temptation and are caught in the trap of many foolish and harmful desires, which pull them down to ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a source of all kinds of evil. Some have been so eager to have it that they have wandered away from the faith and have broken their hearts with many sorrows." And that clip of Kodak Black is a perfect example, man. Our people believe getting rich on this side is going to fix all their problems. And a lot of times it just creates more problems for you. Now you're the rich Israelite in a family full of poor people. You paying for bonds. Everybody expects you to pay for every funeral. Everybody coming up to you with business ideas about food trucks, and most of the business ideas wouldn't even work in real life, but you don't want to tell them no. And that's the kind of issue it creates. It creates this cycle through the spirit. And the Lord is like, look, don't even chase it, because what you have to go through to get it ain't even worth it, man. All right, when you go to that word for sorrow in Proverbs 10, and I'm going to read it again. All right, this is Proverbs 10 and 22. And it reads, the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. All right, again, going to that word sorrow, itazab, it says pain, hurt, toil, sorrow, labor, hardship. And what does that sound like? Most of the examples of the rich Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, whether they're comedians, whether they're athletes, whether they're artists, whether they're movie stars, they have to go through much labor. You're not really wealthy if you got to be away from your family 8 months out of the year. You may have more than the average Israelite, but you're still working just as hard, if not harder. And then look at the sorrow that it comes with. Kodak Black is a perfect example of that. And I wanted to put both of these clips together because it really sums up what's going on behind closed doors. You know, on Front Street, on the internet, on social media, it looked like these guys are winning. But in actuality, this is what's happening behind closed doors. They're admitting that, look, we live check to check too. It's just a bigger check. Now you got 7 cars that you got to pay car notes on, 7 cars that you got insurance on, 2 houses that you got to pay the note or the rent. You buy all the maintenance that come with mansions, all of these different things. And the Lord said, look, I make you rich and I add no sorrow with it. And what is that? That's the kingdom where true rest is allowed. There's no true rest here, even for the rich of our people. Don't let the pictures at Cancun and Turks and Caicos fool you. Don't let the pictures in these 5-star restaurants fool you. The shit that they have to go through to get it and maintain it, the Lord is saying it ain't even worth it. What does it mean if you gained the whole world and you lost your sanity? On paper, you got everything that heart could wish, but it still ain't enough. Why? Because it's not our resting place. We were never meant to be here and build generational wealth. We were brought here for correction. All right. Now, again, money is a defense. But at the same time, the scriptures say the love of money is the root of all evil. You know, it doesn't mean that you become a derelict, just a complete irresponsible person. But there's a certain level of understanding you have to have in the spirit that this place is not our rest. And our people have been obsessed with thinking that money is going to fix all our issues. Meanwhile, the guys who actually have the money, look at how they think. Look at what they're going through in real time. All right, this is 2 Ezra chapter 8. And I'm going to jump down to 51. All right, and it reads, but understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise opened, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. You know, our people can't even imagine like the wealth of the so-called elites on this side. You're born into a family where you are so rich, you don't have to have a purpose. Our people can't fathom that type of wealth, but that's true wealth. Being gone on the road 8 months out the year to have a lavish lifestyle is not wealth. You can call it riches compared to the average Israelite, but it's not true wealth. True wealth is you're born into a family where the money that you need for your entire life is already set up for you. You don't need a purpose. You don't need to work. You don't have to have a passion. You can just exist. And the Lord is saying that's when our rest will be allowed. When the kingdom is translated to us as a nation of people under Yahweh Shai, because it's his kingdom first and foremost. That's when we'll have rest. But on this side, through the spirit, we were brought here for correction. We weren't brought here to have generational wealth and rest. We were brought here to be corrected. And I wanted Duwadi Abashim Shah for giving me the spirit to do this lesson, because I saw one of the clips earlier and I wanted to do a lesson on it, but the spirit ain't have me do it until I saw the Kodak Black clip. And I remember years ago, I did a lesson on Future saying the same thing, that they live check to check. It's just $1 million checks to check. And it goes back to prophecy. The Lord said that he brought us over here to correct us. He didn't bring us over here for us to rest here. All right. Matter of fact, let's go here. Matter of fact, I'm going to get this in the blue letter. So we're going to go to Micah 2 and 10. And I'm going to get the Hebrew word for rest. All right, this is arise ye, Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction. All the wealth that Kodak Black has, he don't have no peace. And you can tell. Any person that wants to commit suicide is basically a restless soul with no peace. All right, this is the Hebrew word for rest. All right, and this manakah, and it says resting place, rest, resting place, rest, quietness. All right, Strong says repose, or adverbially, peacefully, figuratively, consolation. Hence, an abode, comfort, ease, quiet, resting, still. Now, let's get this word repose. Dictionary says a state of rest, sleep, or tranquility. And look at the rich jakes and how they talk. They don't talk like they're in tranquility, like they're in rest. You know, they brag about not getting any rest. I've been up for 24 hours. I've been up for 2 days chasing this money. That's not real wealth. That's not the blessing of the Lord. I'll say it that way as well. Because the scriptures we just read it. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it, man. So I just wanted to touch those two clips through the spirit and power Yahweh by Shema Shah. Lord willing, this was edifying with that. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasher Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwath, who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.